Hey everyone, so today I'm in Stalybridge and I'm on a disused railway track bed. It's the Mickelhurst Loop Line and it was opened in the late 1800s, had a number of stations, a viaduct further down the line, used to run beside a former power station which closed around about 1980. There are a few relics down here. I believe a lot of the station buildings or platforms are still intact. There's also a pretty large goods shed. So to begin with, look, we're at the beginning of the route. We've got the Huddersfield Canal out of sight just down there. So upon leaving Stalybridge Station, about a quarter of a mile over there, it shot off the active main line, came through a tunnel, and there was a bit of a viaduct. Now if I nip back down to the canal, oh, come with me, stay with me. Just down here, look. And over there you can see a narrowboat, and just in front of that narrowboat you can see the support walls for where the line crossed the canal. So there's the canal heading off towards Huddersfield. So let's get ourselves onto the track bed. Now the route was 13 kilometers in length, and I'm hoping at the other end we're going to find ourselves Butterhouse Tunnel. So the Mickelhurst Loop, that takes us all the way from Stalybridge right the way up to Diggle Junction. That's just a little bit south of Diggle itself. And in this episode, the first part of the Mickelhurst Disused Railway Walk, we're going to leave Stalybridge. We're going to head off to the former site of Staly Millbrook Station. There also used to be a viaduct there. Right after that, there's the remains of an abandoned goods shed that was there as part of the power station that was nearby. We'll then go past and have a little look at Millbrook Sidings before going along the site of the former Mickelhurst goods shed and onto Mickelhurst Station. So the first station along this route was Staly and Millbrook. I believe that may have opened in 1886 and only lasted until 1909. Right at the far end of the route, the northern end, we will have Butterhouse Tunnel, just over 300 yards in length. It is infilled at the southern end, but I believe it could well be open at the northern end. Let's go and find our first station. So other than being on an embankment right now, and it's quite a high embankment on both sides. If I could just take you over here, look. That's a long way down there, and it's pretty much the same, if not further, down to the canal on the opposite side. And a bit of ballast scattered around. There's nothing really to suggest or remind you that this was once a railway. But what is around are these huge pylons. And they're getting closer and larger because of the old power station. Hartshead Power Station closed in 1979. It was decommissioned then, and soon after it was demolished. I believe it's up for redevelopment, probably for housing. You can see a huge substation down there, look. So although the bulk of this line closed in 1965, part of it did still continue to see use, bringing coal traffic to feed the power station, dropped off at Millbrook Sidings. And the goods shed that proudly still stands, although not in an amazing state, sadly. I believe there were 4 goods sheds along this route, and that is the only one still to be standing. Getting closer to our first station call. So on the 3rd of May 1886, Staly Millbrook Station opened, and it only lasted until November 1909. Freight did continue on until 1965, and then that closed along with the line. There was 2 platforms. Now we do lose the track bed temporarily just here, look, as it's gone across Springbank Lane. It's Springbank Lane to the left and it's Grove Road to the right. So we're going to get ourselves down onto this road and then pick up the track bed a little way down on the opposite side. So just on my way back up the track bed now, Grove Road, it's just the other side of those railings. There used to be some units there, they've been demolished in the last year. It's a little bit of blue retaining wall just there, look through there. Obviously it's got the coping stones on top as well. The embankment goes a considerable way up, so it must have been put in there to reinforce. So at the top, so that's our route going forward towards Millbrook Sidings. We just cut through here, you can see where the track bed came from and where the route used to cross Grove Road. Bit of perimeter fencing there, it's been there for a very, very long time. I'm unsure what this would have been. It looks like it may have been a sign of some sort. It's very, very old, isn't it? It's still got the bars, the rods inside to reinforce it. The canal is just down there beyond that embankment. The track bed itself isn't in the same condition that the first part was, where it was a nice surface. It's more in line with the typical disused railway. Here's a little something else, look, two more posts similar to the previous ones and a kind of trough next to them. It's time to go and find something pretty special. So this is the goods shed at Millbrook Sidings, and I believe it must have lasted until around about the time the power station closed and was decommissioned in 1979. And coal was delivered along the line by the usual coal trains. It was discharged, dropped into bunkers and then fed across to the power station on a high conveyor system, which was then dropped down onto the site of the power station after crossing where the Huddersfield Canal is. Now we've got these buildings here, look, they're like outhouses, and these must have been sort of like staff rooms, units, mess huts. You've got what looks like a fireplace just there as well, look, and on the other side there must have been another one, possibly a doorway just there which fed straight into it. Go around here and look, we can get inside our goods shed. Isn't that just amazing? It's dripping wet. Look at these steel columns. So look at that. It is 3 floors, ground floor, first floor and an upper floor. You can just see right at the top where ropes or chains would have been put on, hoists maybe. Got an inspection pit over here, look. So this would have been for general maintenance of wagons or locomotives. I'm really unsure what this would have been for, why that was such a long way down. Looks like there's actually a platform of some sort vacant from there, isn't there? There's all sorts of bits and pieces of steel framework and wood on the floor. And this here is another hole in the roof, so it looks like we can see all the way to the top. That's amazing, isn't it? So there would have been stairs, and the stairs have obviously gone, been taken down, removed, collapsed. And back at this end there is still a gate present, well, half a gate anyway. It's just there like a flap, and just above that there's actually a hole missing in the brickwork. in that central opening as well, but you can see a bit of window or door frame, which has obviously fell down from one of the floors above. Quite a bit of stonework and brickwork down there, isn't there? So, it's dry outside. I think we ought to get the drone up and see what it's like from above. Look at these huge brackets from what would have held the gate. I'm assuming there would have been, oh there is, look, there's another one at the bottom. So 4 of them per gate. It's clearly been set on fire, hasn't it? And that's why this bottom section is missing. So there's your goods shed. I was looking in that a few minutes ago, and right next to it is part of the old conveyor system, which shot across and dumped delivered coal over at the site of the power station. Because we've got the canal and the river in between this and the site of the power station. But before this was constructed, it did in fact go underground. It used to be dropped into hoppers and then taken through and dropped over on the other side. So this is where the conveyor begins. It's all been cut off, and there's signs here of some kind of foundations which were possibly part of that, and the coal would have then been taken over to the other side. There's your goods shed there, look. And there were numerous sidings all along here, and there's probably all sorts of artifacts buried. There's some sleepers just there, look, which gives us a good indication of what was once here. I'm going to have a little mill around. I'm not really expecting to find much, apart from a tree growing out of a manhole, or they've just been probably placed in there. If I find anything, you'll be the first to know. Right, so we're going to bid farewell to the power station and the goods shed. Millbrook Sidings carried on a little further along there. Just over there is a small reservoir, and this overflow stream comes down, and there's this curious little structure down here. I did in fact visit this a couple of years ago when I came to look at the power station site, and you could get in at the other end. So I'm just going to include that in this video so you can see what it's like. And what it used to do, the water used to come down, it'd appear at that tower, and then it'd shoot off down towards underneath the canal and into the river. But now it avoids this tunnel completely, and you can just make out a grey pipe there, which I believe may now in fact go into the canal. Next stop is Mickelhurst. That's the next station along this route. There was also a goods shed just before that, right at Mossley. Mossley does in fact still have an active station on the active main line just over there. Let's push on. Looks pretty deep down there, doesn't it? We're just at the far end of Millbrook Sidings. I came over here because there is what appears to be some kind of yard lamp still present. It's got a concrete construction with like a little platform and railings at the top. That's pretty good, isn't it? Aside from that, the rest of Millbrook Sidings is just a boggy, muddy swampland. There's another yard lamp just through the trees. Get a bit closer to this one, look. I mean, I'm assuming it's a yard lamp. Certainly some sort of look-out platform at the top anyway. Unsure what else it would be if it wasn't a lamp. Look at the state of this. I wonder what this is. Just next to the... Oh look. See, there's another underground section there, look. Concrete foundation and reinforced. So, what was this? It's like a bridge, but it's not a bridge. Looks like something that's been filled in. Let's get around the other side. Tell you what, there's all sorts of stuff along here. I wonder what that was. That's peculiar, isn't it? Looks like there may have been some sort of passage to somewhere underneath there, if anyone knows. Do you know, over there somewhere there's a dog been yelping and barking for about the entire time I've been walking this track bed. I hope it's alright. There's another building of some sort through there, look. What if we can get to that? So this is some kind of shed for the railway. If we look down here, we've still got rail present amongst all the rubble. Oh, it stinks in here. And we've still got where buffers used to be. Ooh. I'm not going to stay there long. Some sort of chemical present in there. And on the other side, that looks like the stairwell would have been just there, look. Going up to the upper section. There's another building over here, look. Maybe the foundations for some sort of signal box or water tower. Don't know at this point. Somebody will know. Somebody that's watching this is going to know. There's a section missing, look. I'm not really expecting to find anything. No, it's just a flat top. Another one of them towers just there, look. There's a little underground section there, but I think they're just foundations. Still very, very muddy. So we're at the section now where Millbrook Sidings joined onto the loop line. So I'm going to do the same and get back on the loop line. Just jump back on the loop line, look. There's an old sleeper just there. Right, let's push on. That little bridge we've just gone underneath, not sure where it went. It come from Mossley, just down there off the main road. Where it went, it was some sort of like little farm property or unit further up. So it's probably like a farm access. It's very, very hard going underfoot. Look at it, it's very muddy all the way along. It'd help if there was like, you quite often get traces of ballast and things like that, don't you, which helps, but none of that about really. I think I can see something coming up, like a retaining wall of some kind. So yes, indeed, this must have been some kind of viaduct, or it was a bridge of some sort, wasn't it? It's like farm track down there. I think we've got to get down there and make our way up there and find the track bed again. But yeah, these are the side walls and abutments to what was once some kind of, it had to have been a small brick arch viaduct, didn't it? For that kind of gap back to the track bed over there. And there it is. I've got to contend with this. Yeah, that's where it was just stood up there, look. And it would have shot across over to the other side. I've got to get there, haven't I? Right, made it across through there as well. Got some mucky boots. What I've got to do now is get over here. Actually, I've just wiped my shoes a bit in that water there. That's great. Get through this stile and hopefully we'll pick up the track bed again. So at this point we've got to leave the track bed behind, but we are going to get to join onto the Huddersfield Canal until we pick it up again further down. All the way up there, that used to be where the goods shed was, at Mickelhurst, or just outside of Mickelhurst. We've got about a quarter of a mile to do along this canal before we do actually manage to pick up the track bed again. Well, hopefully we do anyway. It looks like we can on the maps I've been looking at. So that's the view going forward, quite a bend. That's the view from behind where we've come from, back towards Millbrook Sidings. Mossley is just a little way over there. So I think I'm going to see you back on the track bed around about where Mickelhurst Station once was. So this is Egmont Street, and you can see where the track bed shot straight across. You've got the bridge abutment, and we're off to find Station Street and the site of Mickelhurst Station. So just here we've got the former Mickelhurst Station building. Opened in 1886, it only lasted until 1907. I believe it is a private lived-in residence now, so we're not really going to look at it all that much, but I'll try and find a few old historical photos for you. So now we stick to the route, we're on the track bed and we're going into a short cut-in. A mile or so down, we'll reach Friesland, if that's how it's pronounced. But that is for the next video. I do hope you've enjoyed part one of the Mickelhurst Loop Line from Stalybridge all the way through to here at Mickelhurst. So join me for part two. Probably going to be the video after this one. Like, subscribe and comment below. Hopefully in the second part we'll get as far as Butterhouse Tunnel and even a look inside. Here's the view going forward, just to give you a taster for what's to come.